Yo, 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 yo.
Yo, what's up? It's the happiest hip hop group in the world. It's Mo and TJ. We haven't seen it.
Welcome. We
Welcome.
have not seen it.
No, we have not seen it. And I hope you enjoy our first, I guess, second official episode, but the first of the actual recording.
First review, yeah.
First review, yes.
Absolutely.
First review, definitely.
And we've got a significant one, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last week we spun the wheel, and the wheel chose The Night of the Hunter.
Now, if you need a reminder, this podcast is all about us, Mo and TJ,
Yes.
as we continue our quest to see every movie ever created by the human race.
And that way we can find meaning in our lives. And
That's it, yeah.
Be better people.
That's
Yeah.
all we're looking for. I mean, is that too ambitious?
I don't think
Some
so.
might say
I
too.
think we're on the right track.
I think so, too.
Yes.
In case you missed it, yes, this was our first movie review, and our first spin at the wheel told us that we need to watch Night of the Hunter.
Night of the Hunter.
Yep.
We're going to say it like that every time. We're going to pause, and then we're going to say the title, like Night of the Hunter.
Well, it's all about the dramatic presentation,
Exactly, yes.
absolutely. This is from what, 1955?
1955.
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't watched it, because some people they don't. I don't watch movies doing movie podcasts.
Sure.
Probably should.
Yeah.
Some of them are like either really bad and great, and some of them are just really great. But anyway, just starring Robert Mitchum from Cape Fear and El Dorado, Sally Winters, Diary of Anne Frank, Lolita, and the first movie star herself, Lillian Gish, from Birth of a Nation. It's a very controversial film, the first film ever made, but we're just going to ignore that. We're not Lillian Gish isn't from Birth of a
Luckily,
Nation.
I think, have you seen that, Michael?
Yes, I have. I saw it.
Okay,
in
good.
film class.
We both seen that in school, and luckily we don't have to watch it
Yes.
again. It's one of those cases where, yes, it was revolutionary. Yes, it's a critical darling from its time. But my God, what an awful message.
Yeah.
What an awful
Ever seen
fucking movie.
Intolerance? Intolerance, his other movie?
No, but
That's
I'm not.
a 3-hour-long epic, my friend, and I have watched it.
Oh, good. Honestly, I thought you were joking when you said the movie's name was Intolerance, but wow, that's at least he's consistent.
Yeah.
He's consistent.
I forgot what it is about because I mostly sat through that whole class. But
Was it D.W. Griffith?
it was D.W.
right?
Griffith.
That was his
yeah,
name.
it
Yeah.
was a sequel. I think it was a sequel to Birth of a Nation, if I'm correct.
Well, you know what they say about sequels; they're usually not as good.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Okay, well, yeah. This is Night of the Hunter. Was directed by Charles Lafton and written by James Agee. If you listened to last week's episode, you already know this. If you're not, we're catching you up. And let's go through. Why don't we go through the synopsis? Okay.
Sure.
Let's do it right now.
Yep, sure. So the synopsis for this movie is Reverend Harry Powell, played by Robert Mitchum, is a religious fanatic and serial killer who targets widows. He has a pattern of seducing, marrying, and murdering them to collect their money before moving on to the next one. While serving time in prison for a car theft, he meets condemned murderer Ben Harper, played by Peter Graves, who confesses to hiding $10,000 in stolen loot somewhere with his children, who have sworn never to reveal its whereabouts. Upon being released from jail, Powell is obsessed with finding the money, and he tracks down Harper's widow, Willa, played by Shelley Winters, and her two children, John, played by Billy Chapin, and Pearl, played by Sally Jane Bruce. Powell charms his way into Willa's life, and he eventually marries her, only to murder her, stage her disappearance as an abandonment, and take it upon himself to raise the children. His ulterior motive, of course, is to discover where the money is hidden. Luckily, John and Pearl eventually escape Powell and end up in the care of Miss Cooper, played by Lillian Gish, a foster mother to several local orphans who takes the two into her custody. When Powell inevitably catches up to the children, a standoff between him and Mrs. Cooper.
Okay, so if you haven't seen the movie, now you have. Okay, we just did the whole work for you.
We tried not to spoil the very, very end.
Yeah.
It's still worth checking out.
We do all the work and you
Or
guys
is it?
get all the rewards, okay?
That's
the way
true.
it goes, yeah. Just
We're
like the U.S. economy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, we're going to dive into this movie and
Yeah.
determine whether it is worth you checking out
Definitely.
and whether it was worth us checking out,
Yeah.
as we had
Did
never
we
seen it
waste
before.
an hour and a half of our lives or did we gain something?
We will see at the end of this, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so TJ, have you heard of this movie before we watched it? At all?
Not at all, no.
No,
This was
okay.
one of you, if people hadn't heard last week's, our introduction to the show anyway, this was one of your picks, Michael.
Yeah.
I had never heard of it. I'd never heard of the book that it was based on. I did know of Robert Mitchum. I knew that him from the old Cape Fear. I've never seen the old Cape Fear, but I know that he plays Max. Was it Max Cady or something? His name is
No,
something like that.
forget that. If we do Cape Fear, we're gonna have to see which one's better. The new one.
Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
I'm gonna just take a shot in the dark right now. New one. I'm gonna say Robert De Niro.
Oh.
I'm gonna say it.
Oh.
That's my
Hey, it's Scorsese, man. It's
Let's do it.
Scorsese.
Okay.
Well,
Alright,
did you know anything about this movie going in?
Yes, I did. Okay, so I found out about this movie my senior year of high school. I was in a creative writing course. I did not like my teacher because she was too happy. I thought that creative writers need to be sad and depressed, and she was not.
That's
no.
true, yeah.
Real fact about her. Her son wanted to be a guardsman, and when she first said that, I thought, that's kind of sad. But no, what? Give me guardsman's okay.
Hey, they make money. They make good
do
money.
make money,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
That was me being a snot nose.
No, I hear you. I would have thought the same thing probably in high school. Sure.
Definitely. But this podcast supports the guardsmen out there. So.
Well, absolutely. And just for some background, we're both communication majors, so
Yeah.
we kind of look up at the garbage men now.
That's true. But we're now podcasters, so that means we're better than them, correct?
That's partially true.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Just so you know, podcasters are better than everybody else in this whole world, so yes.
Well, right.
Yes.
We're doing God's work.
We're doing
really.
God's work.
Just
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Reverend Harry Powell.
Just like Reverend Hay. Connections there are scary. It's insane. Anyway, so I was doing a creative studies course. We're supposed to write like a story, and I thought, oh, why not write a horror story? And so once again, I wasn't doing work. Well, I was trying to. I guess I was researching films, if you call it that way. So I found a Rotten Tomatoes list of like the scariest movies of all time, and this was on it. So I was like, oh, Night of the Hunter. So it's always been kept in the back of my mind. And then when we finally got this chance to do the podcast, and I saw it on Criterion, I thought, oh, this is perfect time to watch it.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing your Criterion login with me. There's a lot of good stuff on that app.
Exactly.
And we are not sponsored by them
No.
one bit. I just want to say that
No.
I am happy with
Yeah.
their product, honestly. Yeah.
Though if you do make it big, I want to go in that closet. You ever heard of
that'd be
Criterion
great.
Closet?
No.
Okay, so Criterion Closet is a YouTube series where they take famous actors and directors and editors, and they have a closet filled with every Criterion movie ever released.
Wow.
And they can just pick any movie, like as much as they want.
That's actually pretty sweet.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah,
Well,
definitely.
shit, maybe we'll get there one day.
definitely.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so I guess we should break down the movie now. So
Well, sure. So we had the synopsis.
Yeah.
We've introduced the some of the characters anyway. Really, this is what I would say a character-driven story.
Definitely.
Obviously spearheaded by Robert Mitchum's Reverend Powell.
How do you feel about Reverend Powell? Do you think he's like, people compare him to be like one of the greatest villains of all time? That's what like French critics and film critics say.
I can definitely see the French thinking that way.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that meanly at all. I can absolutely see that. Again, I had not heard of this movie.
Yeah.
I always assumed, based on a Simpsons episode, that the whole love and hate tattooed on the knuckles was from Cape Fear, but no, it was in fact from this movie.
Yeah.
No, this is a really well written villain.
Yeah.
Because I'm at the end of the day, I've seen this now 3 times. I'm not sure whether he's just genuinely insane or if he is justifying his reverend status to, like, if he's insane or if he knows that he doesn't believe the bullshit he's saying, but still does it in the sense that a con artist acts.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Like, is he actually crazy or is he just evil? I don't know.
Yeah,
I really
me neither.
don't.
Yeah.
He's a very well-written character. I think Robert Mitchum does a terrific job playing him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just like little moments. Like, you'll see, obviously, he lies up a storm to Willa. He lies up a store to Spoonie, who is Willa's boss, basically.
Yeah.
On their wedding night, his and Willa's wedding night,
Yeah.
he turns her away for sex.
Yeah.
And he says, oh, no, I'm not in it for that. I'm in it to raise your 2 children. Obviously, that's not really what he's trying to do. But then when he's talking to Willa's boss, he says, oh, she turned me away on our wedding night. He's just such a devious liar, a gaslighter.
Yeah.
What did you think of him?
I thought he was great. Like, I don't like deeply. I think I went that right into it, but I don't know. He has a charisma about him. I can see why people believe him.
Oh,
He has his
absolutely.
way, the way he tells the tale of love and hate. It's fun.
It was with this hand, the left hand, that Cain struck his brother Abel. Yeah, he's very charismatic.
Very charismatic. And
Yeah.
I can see why people trust him. And people back then trust priests more than they do now. Or maybe people still trust priests in that way still. Like, if I would have gone into like a random town with a collar on, I think I would gain some kind of respect. But yeah.
For sure. And it is worth noting, obviously, this is from the 50s. I think it takes place in the 40s or 50s. 30s? Okay, 30s even.
Yeah.
So, perfect. Yeah, around the Ohio River.
Yeah.
And obviously back then, you could go state. I mean, realistically, if you had it in you, you could go state to state murdering people, marrying them, murdering them, and moving on to a new
Ever
state.
hear the John Mulaney joke where, like, back then crimes, people would just, like, get away with it? Because they even said it, like, they shoot the names into the wall, and it's like, Soggy Bottoms Gang.
Oh
They're
God.
like famous for it, and the cops are like, we can't do anything. Like,
Dude, even as late as this, wasn't Ted Bundy able to like escape Seattle or
I have no
Washington
idea.
and go to Florida for a year or so? I mean, it's changed now anyway. But
Yeah.
in this context, it's absolutely realistic that
Yeah.
this guy could have been doing this. And, local police stations didn't really get involved with each other. There was no FBI.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to take that over, but you were talking about Powell,
Yeah.
and you thought he was well written, well
He
acted.
was great. I think he was like, I guess he's an incel, like, technically, right? I mean, he hates women. He thinks all women are against him. He thinks women are the vein of existence, and that everything's very like his like whole presence is kind of erotic. Like the knife he has when he like sticks it out of the pocket during that sex scene.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is worth noting he does have many of the incel qualities.
Yeah.
Except the one thing that he doesn't is when he is offered sex, he does turn it down.
Yeah.
But yes, as Mo noted, he does have a switchblade, which is absolutely a symbol for a penis, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
He's watching a stripper right before he gets arrested in the beginning,
Yeah.
and he's getting madder and madder at her, and watching her strip, and you can tell he wants to murder her, and
Yeah.
the symbolism to show that is he flips open his knife while he's watching her. Like, yeah, he definitely hates women and eroticism. He is a very well written villain.
Yeah, it's very like
very specific.
It's like
very
I know it's like
specifically
Old
written.
Testament. I haven't read the Bible, so I don't really know. But very like fire and brimstone. He thinks any pleasure is bad. That we should all just pray for the Lord and just like keep it that way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
What do you think of the children actors, John and Pearl?
I don't know, I think they fit the roles well. I mean, Pearl was I thought Pearl was stupid, but I guess that she was meant to be that way. She said like even though she's like 3 years old, like I should not call her stupid because she's a child.
Naive.
She's just naive. She's very naive. Like they said in the movie, I thought like what Pearl, like come on, you know this guy's a bad guy, like.
Right.
But like then like the father said like she's naive, you gotta watch out for her, John. And they're like, oh okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, everything there is to lay the groundwork. See, these children actors are interesting to me because, I mean, listen, it's the 1950s. This movie's made.
Yeah.
Child actors back then are not what they are now.
No.
You watch Game of Thrones, you have really good child actors. These children are not great actors, but they do everything that you need them to do, and they convey the emotions and at least the feelings that you need them to convey. In the beginning, when Ben Harper, Peter Gray, John and Pearl's father is arrested for the bank robbery. He killed 2 people during that robbery, and he's arrested, and you see the kids break down watching the cops, put their daddy on the ground and handcuff him. That comes back later in the movie, and you get that emotion from them, despite the fact that they're not classically trained, actors.
I don't know, but they could act like real kids. I mean, that could be the thing too. I mean,
That's
if
also
real
true.
kids were in this movie. I mean, I think they would act like if there's like a real situation, they could act like that. And
Oh, sure, and trust me,
Yeah.
they're better actors than I would be. There's no question.
Yes.
All I'm saying is, the movie shows its age with regards to the kid
Yeah.
actors, but there's
Definitely.
nothing wrong with that.
No.
What'd you think of Shelley Winters as Willa, or at least the character, even if
Kelly,
you?
like, I guess she's just there. Like, she fits the role perfectly. She's the desperate housewife who gets pressured into marriage. She just wants love and attention. Like, she never got that. I don't know about her first husband, but I guess not, since he robbed the bank and just like left her, and then he died. But yeah, she's just a woman who wants love. She just feels empty, and like she's getting pushed into opposite directions because like. I guess the society norms were just like you need to get married, and like the Icy Spoon, I think that's her name, right? That's the boss, Icy.
Oh, Icy. I called her Spoonie earlier. Yeah,
Icy
you're right.
Spoon,
You're
yeah,
absolutely
that's her
right.
name. So Icy Spoon was like, you gotta get married. By the way, Icy Spoon, I think the real villain of the story. I think.
How so?
I don't know. She's just every time you just see her, she's like, you need to get married. Like, you need
That
to
is
focus
true,
on.
actually. She definitely pushes Willa into
This
getting
person's
married.
like,
Yeah.
No, let's marry this priest. He's a good guy. Why not? You've only known like how long your husband been hanged? Let's see, a week.
Yeah, you've
Time
known
to
this.
get married.
You've known this preacher for 3 days. You're good to go.
Exactly.
I did love her husband though, Walt.
Yeah.
Walt cracked me up. First of all, he's super old timey. He calls his wife mother, which always makes me laugh in old timey things.
I know.
And then second of all, there's a wonderful scene after Willa has quote unquote run away, and Reverend Powell is at their store crying, acting like, oh, she ran away, yada yada. There's a great scene when Icy tells her husband Walt, oh, you need to go console him. Talk to him like I'm, And he goes, and Walt goes, I have some peach brandy here. And she goes, oh, for God's sakes, Walt. And he goes, oh, no, it's for me. And he takes a little swig. That guy cracked me up. I don't know why. He just made me laugh. With Willa, though, I think you're absolutely right. She was always just looking for love.
Yeah.
Obviously, her husband wasn't the greatest person, it seems. All we really see of him was him killing, or him running away from the cops after killing 2 people and stealing money.
Yeah.
But yeah, she does obviously fall for Reverend Powell very, very quickly. And then she has this interesting arc, though, where after he turns her down on their honeymoon night, she devotes her life to evangelism?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. I guess she's just like, I'm along for the ride.
Yeah, she becomes his like right-hand woman and, preaches alongside him. And like he literally pulls this, this gaslighting effect on her where she blames herself for her ex-husband killing 2 people and robbing a bank. And, she blames herself for being sexual.
Yeah.
Even though,
like, we haven't really seen that. Like she said, like, I wanted pearls. Like, we don't know that. Like, we just, like, maybe she just thought about that, and, like, that's the reason she did it. Right? He did it.
And that's, again, it actually speaks more to Powell and himself, is he's so manipulative that he is able to do that to her. And he's able to fool all the townsfolk into thinking, this is a great guy. Yeah. And as we mentioned earlier, he obviously carries out his pattern of marrying her, killing her, and he drops her body along with her car in the Ohio River, and then tells the locals as well as Willa's children, John and Pearl, that she ran away overnight.
So what do you think about the adults in this film? Do you think, like, the reason why, like, I understand, like, why, like, John has trouble, like, trusting adults, because, like, every adult in this film's really bad. I mean, his mom doesn't really pay attention. I guess, like, she does pay attention to the kids, but she's just, like, in her own world. Robert Mitchum's an evil bastard, and, like, everybody's just like, no, just ignore the kids, whatever. And then you got Uncle Bertie, who's, like, supposed to be his best friend.
Oh, Uncle Bertie.
But Uncle Bertie can't do shit.
I'm glad you brought this up, though, because this actually is a very early example of the horror movie trope where the adults don't listen to the children, or they don't pay attention to the children. It's remarkable. Yeah, and like you said, I don't think Willa is evil, but she definitely is she's not always there for her children. Yeah. There are 1.5 adults, I'll say, in this movie that actually are respondent to the children. One of them is the aforementioned Uncle Bertie. He's half, actually. He's only half, and I'll tell you why. I like Uncle Bertie. I like him in the beginning. John kind of does. What does he do, like part-time work for Uncle Bertie or something?
I don't even know what Uncle Bertie does. I think he's just a town drunk. And
he's a fisherman, right?
Yeah.
But it's almost implied that John kind of works for him, or at least hangs around him a lot. Yeah. We don't even know if it's actually a family thing or just a townsperson that they know. Anyway, this guy's an old, dissipated drunk whose wife is dead. Yeah. Seems like a really nice guy, and he even tells John in the beginning of the movie, if there's any trouble you have, come find Uncle Bertie. I'll take care of you. Now, what's screenwriting 101? If you introduce something in Act 1, it needs to play out in Act 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And it half does. Because when shit hits the fan and John grabs his sister and they have to leave after Reverend Powell finds where the money is hidden, they have to run and leave. The kids end up going to Uncle Bertie's house, and the guy is pissed drunk, basically dead, and offers them no help.
Yeah. So you thought they're gonna blame the death of John's mother on him. By the way, that shot of John's mother in the water, that's an amazing shot.
That was an amazing shot, and I was wondering what that was.
I don't even know how they did that.
How did they do that? Because if that's a dummy, dude, that's a really intricate dummy. I was actually wondering the same thing.
It was amazing.
Yeah, this
movie
there was
is
a
shot
really
beautifully, by the way.
It is, and it's not what I would say. I would say it's horror. It still holds up as a scary movie in terms of themes and in terms of story. It's a terrifying story. Obviously, sensibility-wise, the 50s, scary in the 50s is not necessarily frightening today.
And I saw The Tingler. I think that's what that movie's
called. The Tingler? Is that the one where they play the stuff?
Yeah.
They would
that was scary.
Blow air on your back and shit like that.
Even though I had none of that.
It was scary?
No.
Oh, I have to see that. I've never seen it. I know of it. I know that it was, that they would do interactive stuff in the theater.
This whole movie's very German expressionism, not to sound smart. No, I do mean to sound smart. We should try to sound smart.
Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know what that means, but I know that's a movie.
That's an old German expressionist. Yeah, it's an old famous
German
movie.
expressionism, yes. Bizarre shadows. This movie's just full of shadows. That's all the whole movie. This movie's called The Shadow I would understand.
Honestly.
Yeah. Of course, it is a movie called The Shadow, and it's really bad. Yeah. But stylized dialogue, distorted perspective, sweet like sets, like the whole river is like a dream. This whole movie is like a dream, kind of. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's basically, I guess, like, it's the whole device where, like, in the like very beginning, you see Lillian Giss's character. She's telling a story to the kids, and I guess this whole movie. Holy crap! I just read it. I guess this whole movie is kind of like how Moses brought to the sea. Like the kids are in trouble, they go down to the river. And then,
Yeah, it was not unintentional to tell the Moses story later. Yeah.
Wow, I just realized that. Okay, yeah. But that's like this whole film is basically I guess a Bible thumper stream.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Because this whole movie is basically like it's about two sides of the coin of like Christianity or Catholicism or whatever you believe in. Like there's the evil side, which is you said like the Old Testament, fire and brimstone, which is Reverend Harry, and then you get the good nature side, the New Testament, which is Mrs. Cooper.
It's no coincidence at all that Powell tells the story about Cain and Abel a couple times. That's like one of the earliest Bible stories, and it's obviously one that's all about a brother killing another brother. It's violence. And then you have Miss Cooper telling the story of Moses being, found on the bank of the river.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The kids, yeah.
No, so you're absolutely right. There is that religion coin.
Yeah.
The two sides of it.
Well, I'm guessing Miss Cooper as a character, she's I guess she's a badass. I mean, think about it. She's the trust that John sees. Like she gains the trust of John and Pearl. She's like the one adult that gets it.
She is the one of the 1.5 adults that are
she's
actually responsible in this movie.
She's like the hero in every horror movie. It's like, okay, the kid's right. Yeah, we should believe him. Yeah, okay.
Yes, and I think what cemented that for me is so John and Pearl escape Powell on the Ohio River, and we get this beautiful montage kind of that we mentioned earlier where they're floating on the river, and it's just the way it's shot and the music that plays throughout it. It's actually quite very well done. So they end up in the care of Miss Cooper, who, like you said before, is the nurturing side of the Bible, and she teaches them stories every night, and she really does reinstill that faith in adults that John had lost. He didn't have a parent figure before that was really reliable until now.
Definitely. Yeah, let's go to the end of this movie because we brought Miss Cooper, and Miss Cooper's really towards the end. So I think this is like, it's a really, is it kind of weak ending? I mean, it's not like the best ending. Like it wasn't really a triumph, like in like a lot of horror movies where it's like they got the villain, yay. I mean, basically the movie ends when a cat scares him.
And this is when the spoiler alert comes in, by the way.
Comes in. So when he gets like bitten by a cat and he does the greatest scream of all time.
Well, my favorite part is not only is this guy's not stealthy or subtle at all. He comes riding up on horseback singing his trademark song, which is Leaning in the Everlasting Arms, I believe it's called. It's a hymn. And John, and this is part of the reason I love Miss Cooper. He goes up to Mrs. Cooper on her, and is talking to her on her porch, and he's smooth talking, saying, "Oh, my poor little lambs, their mother done run off, and John and Pearl are mine." And she knows enough about John and his mannerisms to know that he doesn't trust this guy, and she takes the kid's word over the adults. And I just wanted to applaud her because we never see that in horror movies. Very rarely do we see that in horror movies.
Yeah, definitely.
She is almost, Michael, I believe, Mo, I believe you said it.
You can call me Mike. My name is Mike. Everybody but my nickname is Mo.
I know, it's a force of habit, sorry. But Mo, you said it, though. She is almost, in a way, the Laurie Strode from Halloween of this movie.
Yeah.
She is kind of the last survivor in terms of the adults, anyway.
Yeah.
Luckily, no children get killed in this movie. But that scene when she, and like I said, she's godly. And this reverend, you'd think she would just trust him. But no, she's smarter than that.
Yeah.
She listens to John. John says, "That's not my dad." And Mrs. Powell goes and gets a gun and kicks him off the property.
Yeah.
And then I love the scene when he's like, "Oh, I'll be back at nighttime." And he's totally telegraphed because he's so full of himself.
Yeah.
Right? Is that the sense you got?
That's his whole character. His whole character is this obnoxious man who thinks he can get away with anything.
Yeah.
Because he has this charm. He's trained to be a priest, or he really is a priest, or he thinks he's a priest, and he's a psychopath.
Right.
But that's his character. And then, like, once it doesn't happen, I guess he doesn't know what to do. Like, what's he going to do now? Because he relies on his charm. And so maybe that makes more sense for the ending, because, like, he doesn't know what to do now. I guess he was like, I'll just wait. Because like
Yeah,
like
it's true.
okay, I just got a kid and an old lady. I think I can take that.
Well,
So
yeah. Plus, other than his one stint in jail, I mean, the guy's killed like 2 dozen people, or
26 women. I think.
was it 26?
I think it was 26.
Okay, so yeah, he's got every reason to believe in himself that he'll
Yeah.
get what he wants. But he comes back at nighttime, and you have this wonderful scene where he and Miss Cooper are actually singing the same hymn in unison. It's
I
actually
don't
a
think
really
it's the same hymn. I think he sings a song and then then she sings a different song.
okay. Well, they're singing in unison,
Singing
though.
in unison. Yeah.
And it is a really cool scene until, yes, he does eventually disappear from her view, and she's panicking. The kids, she's wondering if the kids are in danger. And then, yeah, it is kind of anticlimactic. You mentioned
Yeah.
the cat. He does manage to sneak into their house, but he gets bit by a cat.
Yeah. And does like the greatest scream of all time.
One of the greatest cinematic screams you'll ever hear. And then she does shoot him, right? She
Yeah.
does shoot him. It looks like in the shoulder or something. And he
Yeah.
continues this scream. And honestly, if we could find it on YouTube, we would gladly play it for
No,
you.
it's too-
So then he ends up hiding in her barn. He kind of gives up quick, don't you think?
Yeah, he does. Because like he has an option. All he has is a knife. She has a gun. Like,
True. But he could have ran. He hit a horse. Remember, he has a horse too.
yeah.
But regardless, he ends up in her barn. She calls the state troopers and has them send over some cars, and they eventually get there and arrest him.
Yeah.
You want to tell them about the arrest scene? That was an interesting scene,
That
I
was an
thought.
interesting. At first, I didn't get it. I'm like, what are you doing? Because,
Same.
Yeah, because John. Okay, so the end scene is Reverend Robert Mitchum's character gets arrested, and then John goes up to him like, "You want the money here?" And so he grabs the doll and starts beating the doll against Robert Mitchum, and then the money comes out.
The money's in Pearl's doll, by the way.
Pearl's doll, yes, by the way. And I'm just like, what are you doing, John? Okay, this guy hated you. You should be happy or something. Whatever. Like, then I thought about it, like, oh wait, this is his father.
Yep.
So yeah, so like so it's perfect circle.
Yep.
Introduce in Act 1, be back and forth in Act 3.
It was really well done.
Yes.
Yeah, and it shows that no matter how much John had gone through, and like, trust me, he's a very it seems like a very smart kid for his age.
Yeah.
It shows, though, no matter how smart he still is a child. And
Yeah.
they filmed Powell getting arrested just like they filmed his dad getting arrested. And so him seeing this awful man getting arrested, it still brought back those memories of his dad. And yeah, it definitely upset him.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really powerful scene because
Definitely.
the first time I saw it too, I was just kind of like, "What are you doing? The guy terrorized
Yeah.
you." But I get it, and I appreciate that scene.
Yeah, they're kids. They don't know what they're doing. They're just like,
Exactly.
yeah.
But I thought it was
Yeah.
well done.
Did you like Icy's is Icy's comeuppance or something? Is he homeless now? Because in the courtroom scene, when after that, right after the arrest scene happens, you see her. She's like, I think she seems very drunk and like really tattered.
Kinda, actually, yeah. I don't know what the hell was going on with Icy and Walt at the end of
Yeah.
that, but so they sit through this trial, and John still can't even point him out to the jury. He's still so traumatized. And by this point, everybody in the town knows that Powell killed Willa. They know that he
Killed
has
like
killed
26 other women.
Right, they're shouting chants of Bluebeard at him
Yeah.
and lynch him at
Yeah.
him. So at this trial, Icy, of all people, who ran the fucking ice cream shop or whatever it was, is leading a lynch mob. Straight up leading a lynch mob. And they have that scene where Mrs. Cooper takes all her orphans out to lunch or dinner after
they
that
go to,
trial.
like, a family-style restaurant.
Yeah, they go to this little diner, and the lynch mob is developing, growing right outside of the restaurant. And it's a weird scene because the lynch mob looks in at the kids and sees John and Pearl and says,
that's the inspiration scene. They're like, okay, let's do this. We see the kids. Let's hang the bastard.
I guess that was the one scene I didn't fully understand because they point at the kids and say, "Those are the kids, those are the kids," and then that's when Mrs. Cooper said, "All right, kids, we have to go now, out the back door, like it was like the lynch mob was coming after them or something."
Mhm.
It was bizarre to me.
Maybe
but
she didn't want to see the kids hang a man.
that's probably true.
Yeah.
That's probably true, actually. But it was the 30s.
Did you think they saw the father get hanged, John and Pearl?
I never actually asked myself that, but that's possible. That is
You think
possible.
the wife saw it? You think Shelley Winter saw it?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know how hangings worked back then because they didn't show the hanging in the movie,
Well, for my
right?
history classes, it was really bad.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a spectacle. It's like a circus.
That's the thing. That's why I could see like kids watching a lynch mob,
Yeah.
and really that wouldn't be
Yeah.
too out of the ordinary in the 30s. I don't know.
I don't know. Kids are not nice people. I mean, you remember in the beginning where it's like the kids were singing a Hangman song?
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good. That was good.
That was good.
The music in this movie cracks. I mean, honestly, not cracks me up. I actually really enjoyed it. It's all like
Yeah.
hymns and old
Yeah.
school songs, I
Hymns
guess.
are
But
scary.
They are, in a
are
certain context, they
terrifying, yes.
absolutely are. I'm telling you what, and we'll get to this in a minute. There's supposedly a remake of this movie happening. They need to keep that Leaning in the Everlasting Arms.
Yeah.
That song actually works so well, I think, when he sings it. And maybe it's Robert Mitchum's voice. We'll get to the remake idea aspect in a moment, because I think I have some things I'd like to say about that.
Definitely, yeah.
Any other random topics do you want to discuss with this before we get on?
I found out what a Bluebeard is. I didn't know what that was when they were chanting it. Okay, so Bluebeard, let me check my notes. Bluebeard is a man who marries and kills one wife after another. So basically, I guess, robbing for the witches, which is based off of French folklore. So that's your education lesson for this film, for this episode. And that's it. That's the only education you ever get from this episode.
Well, Mo might have educated you, but he didn't educate me. You didn't educate me there. I actually knew of the movie Bluebeard. Yeah. It was a black and I don't even know what year it was from. It might have even been after this. But I had some random DVD collection of old B movies, and Bluebeard was on there, and that's how I learned it was about a serial killer that did that. Long story short. But yeah, I thought that. So I was glad that I understood that reference, because if I didn't know that, I would have no idea what that meant.
Yeah, of course I was an idiot. Didn't know.
Oh, I'm just messing with you. You fool. Did you know that the Coen brothers were fans of this movie?
Yeah.
And for the record, my favorite movie of all time is The Big Lebowski.
I saw. I don't hate The Big Lebowski. It's just not that the top films for me. Maybe I'll rewatch it again.
Okay, you can get going. You can leave now.
We're gonna end the podcast now. It's over.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'll rewatch it one day and I'll be like, yeah, this movie's great, but I haven't. I want to go into deep dive of Coen Brothers movie, because I feel like there's so many.
I am all here for that.
Yeah, I want to see Blood Simple. I just want to see that movie.
It's on Criterion.
I don't think it is.
It's not. Oh, HBO now. We'll watch HBO Max. We'll watch it. We'll watch it. That's what it was.
Okay.
No, we will absolutely watch Blood Simple. And forgive me, I almost thought about going on a Big Lebowski diatribe. I will not do it now.
Yeah.
But I will say that the dude's famous "The Dude Abides" line comes from this movie when Mrs. Cooper at the very end. It's actually kind of an interesting scene, because you don't see this in movies now. She turns to the camera at the very end, looks to the audience, and says, "The children will abide."
Oh,
they will endure.
I thought that was Sally Winter's last line before she gets killed.
Maybe she had that line. No, Mrs. Cooper is the one that talks to the camera at the very end, though, because it's Christmas morning. Remember?
No, it is Rachel's line. That's Rachel's closing line.
Whose?
That's Miss Sally Winter's character.
What?
Yeah, that's her closing line. That's the closing line. Right before she gets stabbed, the children will abide.
Oh, before she gets stabbed. Okay, good call. I'm so sorry. You're right. But then doesn't Mrs. Cooper say it at the end, too?
I don't remember. No, I think they do. I don't know.
I thought she said they abide and they endure. Well, either way, the Coen brothers got that from this movie.
Yeah.
And in their movie True Grit, their remake of True Grit, I believe Leaning in the Everlasting Arms plays in that. Which is kind of cool, I guess.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the love-hate things, you can see that on anything. I mean, Spike Lee, Love and Hate for Radio Wahid.
Yes, great movie. Great movie.
Yeah.
Oh, too bad we've seen that. Yeah, seriously though, rest in peace.
We can watch Spike Lee's bad movies, which is a lot of them.
I've seen plenty of his movies. I'm trying to think which ones I haven't. Either way, Do the Right Thing. If you haven't seen that, do yourself a favor. Amazing movie, and arguably more topical than ever.
So we already gained that fun knowledge, so we don't need to do it again. Okay. We don't.
Yes. Amazing movie though.
Amazing movie.
But yeah, the love-hate motif, and that ties into the Powell versus Miss Cooper Old Testament, New Testament thing. The filming of the movie, the light and dark even ties into that.
I've been waiting for Batman to appear. Like, when is he coming?
That would have been neat. Maybe John. Hey, maybe John grows up to be Batman. His parents are dead.
That's true.
Never know.
Dead parents always equal superheroes.
Did that kid ever act in anything different? By the way?
He became an alcoholic in his 20s and 30s.
That bums me out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's what happens when you child star in the 50s.
Oh shit! Yeah, even his Wikipedia page is a picture from this movie. Yeah, that tells you he didn't do much else.
He did some small roles.
Oh, poor kid. That sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Oh damn. Well, anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about the notion of this movie being remade, because I have strong feelings about remakes personally. I think that Hollywood does way too many of them.
Yeah.
I think
they remake the wrong movies. They remake good movies.
Right. Well, why do I have to see Disney remaking movies from the 90s already? Like, come on, dude. We don't need another Aladdin or Lion King or Mulan. It's just obvious cash grabs. I get it. Whatever. This movie, though, is said to be, having a remake. I don't know how COVID has affected that. But I personally, Michael, I'm all for it.
right.
I think this is a movie that, I think that movies that do require a remake the most are the ones that have not particularly aged the best, or at least seem somewhat outdated when you watch them. I'm all for a remake of this movie as long as it's done well.
I guess so. I guess any movie done well, I'm for it, but I don't know. I think this movie's done well on its own. I think we should leave movies where they lie.
But do you? Okay, let me ask you this though: do you think modern audiences would watch this and be entertained?
I don't know. I think like kids won't, but like teenagers, because you go up and you go to high school and you're like, oh, black and white movie, no.
Right. There's a stigma behind old movies.
Yeah, I don't think like the American audience would like, because this film is not that popular, to be honest with you, because it's like a cult. It's kind of like a cult classic, a cult film.
Yeah.
Like back in the 70s, film critics from France and film critics in America, they praised this movie because when it came out, it wasn't really successful critically or commercially. But now people watch it now and they're like, "Oh, this is a masterpiece." Like I said in the last episode, this is in, I believe, a French cinema magazine, like the top one. This is the number 2 film of all time, right behind Citizen Kane is number 1, obviously. So,
sure.
Yeah. So it really has gained a cult following and a huge critical audience for it. But unfortunately, commercially, it's still people don't know it. So. Yeah,
right.
Maybe it does need an update, so that way people know it, they know the history, they can go back and watch the original. But I don't know, I feel like this movie's fine on its own.
And I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, not to spoil our feelings about it coming up, but all I guess I mean is, yes, I don't think you're going to, like you said, it's a cult classic.
Yeah.
And I don't think that this is
not
the
in
type
like
of
the
movie.
cult classic sense, like not like Midnight Viewings or anything. It's just like
right.
It gained a small following of like film critics.
Right, and film critics will attest that this movie is excellent.
Yeah.
It's considered one of the best movies of all time, one of the best horror movies of all time.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that I don't think an update would be bad so long as it's done well. I don't want to see it.
Do you think like should the Coens do it?
Oh, I'd love the Coens. I'd love for the Coens to do it.
that'd be
Absolutely.
cool. Yeah.
If you had this movie in the vein of No Country for Old Men,
Yeah.
oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's not a guarantee that it'd be good, but I wouldn't be upset if they remade it.
Yeah.
And if the remake was shit, I would gladly call it out as such. No question.
I think for some reason I think Matthew McConaughey would be perfect for the preacher role. You think
I could see that. No, I could see that. Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
I've seen somewhat of Dirty Joe, and he plays a good villain there. And what was the other movie he played like a great villain in? I'm forgetting.
McConaughey.
It was like Mud, maybe? I don't know. It's like one of these movies.
He was in Mud.
He was in Mud.
I don't know if I call him the villain though.
Yeah, I don't think that
Mud
was
was
it.
good though.
Mud
He was good in
I
Mud.
haven't
He
seen
was
Mud.
really good in that.
I don't know. He has this. I think he has the charm of a Robert Mitchum. Like he has that.
Sure.
He can be sinister and like coy at the same time. So it just.
That's actually like perfect casting idea. I didn't even think that far ahead.
Like the big star. I don't know. Like I can't really think of any like really mid-tier actors that we put forth than other than him.
I couldn't either,
Yeah,
really.
definitely.
Yeah. No, that's actually perfect.
Yeah.
Michael, let's get some shareholders together and let's make this, man.
Let's make this movie.
Absolutely.
Let's invest in GameStop. We can do this. Yeah?
Let's do
and
it.
that's a timely reference that will date this episode.
It'll age like fine milk.
It definitely will.
But hey, honestly, we're all 4 people sticking to the billionaires.
Yeah, definitely.
At least I am. I think it's
I am
wonderful what's
for it,
going
too.
on.
They can go book.
So anyway, we're gonna end each podcast this way.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, you hadn't seen this movie.
No.
Are you glad that you've seen this movie? And we're going to do this on a scale of, I'm very glad I've seen this movie, I'm glad I've seen this movie, I'm glad I had not seen this movie, and I'm very glad I had not seen this movie.
I'm really glad I saw this movie. I want to know more about film history and film cinema, and I feel like I learned a lot watching this. I learned like the different way it was filmed and like why people consider this one of the greatest films of all time. Do you think it's one of the greatest films of all time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Well, when you
I
put
saw
everything
Citizen
into
Kane,
context.
and you see Citizen Kane, you're like, okay, this is a great movie. I
Yes.
understand that. But I didn't think it was the greatest film of all time.
I'd
That's
rather
my
watch
personal
this than
taste, though.
Citizen Kane. And don't get me wrong, I thought Citizen Kane was very, very good.
Yeah.
But I went into it, I watched it for a class, a
Yeah,
film class.
exactly.
And I
Same.
went into it knowing that this is the greatest movie of all time.
Yeah, that's the thing. You get labeled as the greatest movie of all time. And
Right.
Okay.
This was a movie I'd never heard of. Going into it, I had supposedly lower expectations. I, like you, am very glad that I've seen this movie.
Yeah.
I am a huge believer, and I think a lot of this kind of developed throughout the whole the Marvel Cinematic Universe ride. I'm a big proponent of your movie is only as good as your villain in many cases.
Yeah.
This time, you didn't even need a hero. I mean, I love Mrs. Cooper. I love that she is the other side of that coin. But this Reverend Powell is one of the creepiest, most complex, well-written villains I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
And Robert Mitchum is the perfect casting for it. Now, when I said I think it could age better for modern audiences, I absolutely believe that, but it is certainly not his doing. It's not even the writing. He is such a well-written character.
Yeah.
And he is, you love to hate him. You can see why the townspeople would fall for his charm. You can see why Willa and all these widows would do the same.
Yeah.
I think I think that everything about this movie basically works.
Yeah.
Honestly, I enjoyed it. I only planned on watching it twice. I watched it a third time just for the hell of it. I enjoyed it, and it moves quick.
Yeah,
it moves really quick. It's an hour and a half long, but there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. I mean, I consider this a great movie. I'll give it, I wanted to do Bible Thumpers star rating, but...
Sure, we can do that.
Okay. I'll give it 4 Bible Thumpers out of 4.
That's a good rating.
That's a good rating. But I don't, it moved me, but not, moved me a lot. Its story was great, characters were amazing. Robert Mitchum's definitely they definitely deserves the credit, one of the top villains of all time.
Yeah.
And I think you can see a little bit how I don't know if what's his name? The man who played the Joker.
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger. I don't know if he took a little bit of inspiration from Robert Mitchum. I think maybe he.
That's possible.
You can maybe see that a little bit. I guess.
Sure.
Maybe making mountains out of molehills, but I don't know. It was great, but it didn't move me. When I first saw a Miyazaki movie, that moved me. That made me enthralled. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen for a second. I mean, in this movie, it was great. I loved it, but it didn't make me feel that same way. It only made me feel that way a little bit.
Okay, that's fair. And again, that's why I'm wondering if this same story and same energy and devotion behind the production was made into just as, a movie nowadays with the same quality but with modern sensibilities. Might that have moved you? You never know.
Yeah.
You don't. So you gave it 4 Bible thumpers. I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 Dead Widows. I thought this movie was excellent.
Yeah.
Like I said, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I'm very glad that I have now seen it, and I highly recommend that you all see it.
Me too.
Again, it's on the Criterion app, along with a bunch of other classics.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I would definitely check this out.
Yeah.
Okay then. I guess is it now time to spin
Do we
the
have a wheel for the next week?
We do have a wheel.
Is it the same the rest 5 movies then?
Yes.
Okay. So we're gonna spin the wheel again to see what movie we're gonna be watching. Can I take Captain America off? My God, what was I thinking?
No, we gotta keep it.
I know. We gotta see every movie. I know.
We gotta see every movie ever made. Okay.
All right. So we have 5 movies. You want to really just what was it? Copland, Captain America from 1990. Memento.
They shoot horses, don't they?
They shoot horses, don't
they?
Never
say
never again.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So those are the final remaining movies left. And I guess let's see which one it is. Here we go. And it is... They Shoot Horses, don't they?
Oh! It's kind of funny that these first 2 have been movies you picked.
Yes.
But you know what? You did not...
Very funny indeed.
You know what, though? You didn't steer me wrong with this one, so I'm excited. So for our next episode, we'll be watching and reviewing They Shoot Horses, don't they?
And they do.
Poor horses.
I guess that's not a spoiler, but they do shoot horses and make glue out of them.
Damn, that sucks.
I know. Which is not what this movie is about at all.
Oh, thank God.
No,
okay.
Okay. It's about humans being treated like horses.
I'm actually more in favor for that than horses being treated like horses, man. Fuck humans, dude.
Yeah.
Horses are great. That's a beautiful animal, really.
Yeah. What do you expect of They Shoot Horses?
Dude,
They Shoot Horses, don't they?
I'm gonna just preview next week's section about what we knew about the movie going in. I know nothing.
I know nothing too. I just know I saw it one time on YouTube, and it was the full movie, and I was just like...
It's available on YouTube?
It's on YouTube, free.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes. I just know I saw Red Buttons, who is now my favorite actor of all time.
Red Buttons.
Never seen any of his films, but he has the best name of all time. Pim Slickens?
Better than Slim Pickens?
Slim Pickens.
Yeah.
No, I say Slim Pickens is probably better than Red Buttons.
Slim. What in the wide world of sports? Amazing.
Yeah, so anyway, that's the film for next week.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to it.
Me too. I'm Mo.
And I'm TJ, and we are going to leave you, and this has been, we haven't seen it, and we are going to leave you with the Robert Mitchum scream
Yeah.
from Night of the Hunter. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.